So welcome to this month's webinar with ClickFluency. I am excited to share this one with you because it is the most wonderful time of the year in e-commerce. We are about to approach Q4, and this is really an exciting time. And it can also be a crazy, hectic time too. I know, especially this year, there's some things I'm going to share today that are going to be maybe helpful for you, because I know this is interesting, but not even last year as much as this year, we've noticed for several brands, production has been, somewhat of an issue. So I'm going to make sure to kind of touch on those points a little bit as well, because I know that that is kind of, if you're not experiencing that, then you most likely know some other brand that is having issues with that. And that might be helpful just to keep in mind as well. But really, typically, this is a great time of year for sales, even, if it's not necessarily your product is something that you would gift out. And I'm going to share on how you can leverage it, for instance, even if not. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let me get some things set up. Okay. So I'm going to really talk today about how to crush it for Q4. So everyone wants to do great, obviously, the first 3 quarters, but if you're like many companies, you really know that Q4, getting this right is going to be crucial for your brand. This is really going to set you up for success for 2022, which is just months away now, which is hard to believe. And so this is really going to help you. And with Amazon, there's just so many more opportunities, I think, than even with, you obviously are doing probably things on your website as well, in retail stores perhaps, but really Amazon is going to be a place where there's going to be millions of people shopping there anyways. So I really want to help you so that you can succeed for your holiday sales. Okay. If you've not already, if you're into personal development, business development type things, you've probably heard this before, but when you actually write out goals and plans, that is really key. And I personally, I do things digital a lot, obviously, but I actually really like the old-fashioned pen and paper. So I really like, especially when I'm, thinking through, and this is like, with personal goals, it's the same thing, but with business goals as well, having it written out in that written form is going to help you. So you can use that to really brainstorm, but you really want to make sure that you're writing out your plan. Like I said, if you don't write out, we want to, grow sales by X percentage this Q4 from last Q4, then you're not going to know at the end of the year, if you've been successful or not. So writing that out will help you to track it and to measure your success. Other essentials during this time, you're going to want to create inventory projections, and you're really going to want to stay in stock. This is when I talk about mistakes, I'm going to share about that, because that can be one of the costliest mistakes on Amazon. And it might sound like not a big deal, but if you've had, and even if you've maybe had a seller account before, you really want to look through this year. Something that a lot of brands have been encountering that they didn't encounter this last year. It's almost like it's catching up now with companies, is production issues. So, when you're making projections for the rest of this year, this is really going to help you with your production to then stay in stock on Amazon. And you know how much I recommend and love Fulfilled by Amazon, but you may even want to consider Merchant Fulfilled during Q4 as a backup, especially if you have, a really hot seller that, is really goes off the shelf fast on Amazon, the virtual shelf, if you will. And you'll really want to make sure. But if you do Merchant Fulfilled, disclaimer, make sure that you're using a company that's really solid with being able to keep you within the metrics that Amazon wants for Merchant Fulfilled, because I don't want that to hurt your seller account health, which is huge on Amazon. Okay, another one, and I've talked about this months and months before. That's kind of, if you go back and watch some of those webinars that I've done earlier in the year, this all kind of builds on itself, but you really want to optimize your top performing listings for conversions. Remember, this time of year, you've got a lot more shoppers on Amazon. So you're really going to want to make sure that when people land on one of your product listings, that it converts. Now, a target, in case you're wondering, a good starting target, now depends on your niche and your product, but 20% is a good starting point. We have seen much higher conversion rates. So it is possible on Amazon. We've seen over 60% conversion, and that's been consistent month to month. So it is very, very possible, which typically you're not going to see that on like a website necessarily. So you're going to see much lower. So you really want to make sure you're looking at your top performers, your top products, and making sure that they are converting. If you haven't already checked that out, you may want to go back to that webinar to make sure that you have your listings, built out the best they can for this time of year. And then you really want to coordinate a strong Amazon marketing plan. So thinking about promotions and coupons. And I'm going to delve into this a little bit more when I talk about, you do though have to keep in mind what is your end goal for your brand, because that may or may not be the best tactic for this Q4 for you. But, typically you will want to really do a lot with promoting, because other companies obviously are going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be thinking through how they're going to promote their products, using promotions, using coupons, running ads on Amazon, things like that. So you really want to make sure you have something solid locked in place.